Okay, so improving data center sustainability is clearly a major focus for the industry at the present time. And I know ABB, you've come up with a sort of 5-step strategy to help companies focus on that. So rather than me necessarily read them all out, but would you just be happy to say a little bit about each of the 5 steps, why they're important and how the overall strategy therefore works?
Right. Yeah. First of all, let me tell that the data center industry is spending a lot of time and resources to maintain first of all the uptime, but it's also increasing the sustainability level. And if we look the whole data center, then the IT equipment has a shortest life cycle, and when they are renewing the IT equipment, it's also good time to evaluate what do you really have on the electrical side. Maybe if there are new and more in the better racks coming up, maybe it's time also to upgrade the feeders in the low voltage or in the medium voltage. So it's really a good time to start looking what is the best fit that the next generation IT equipment will be also served, and the uptime is also kept in the right level. And it's also good time during the upgrade also to add a digital measuring or digital layer as well. The more you can measure, the more you can analyze, and the more future-proof you are. So it's evaluation is the first step definitely to do, and during the cycle or the life cycle, there are certain good points when to do that in a decent time. And of course, one thing to evaluate, if we look nowadays world as well, the power usage or energy usage in the world is increasing as well. It's also good time to time to have a look on the power agreements. There are definitely now more offering than was a few years ago, and some of the offering will help also on the sustainability side.
Okay, and then in terms of sort of the next step or two, you've got collaboration, which I'm guessing is sort of follows on from the evaluation. You wanted to talk to a load of people, but if you can talk us through that, and then the design, which I'm sure is very important, and certainly in the more recent times. So if you can talk us through those, that'd be good.
Sure. On the collaboration side, there is also a little bit of two angles, let's say. One is, of course, the power purchase agreement. And if we talk about power purchase agreement, there is already good offering in the market. You can make a PPA 10 years out in the road, and also include the green energy as a part of it. So this is the kind of easiest way also to fulfill some of the sustainability targets, utilize the green energy or renewable energy. Another side also is to add on-site renewable production as well, or green production in terms of fuel cell. So, and having fuel cell and battery storage combo will definitely add additional benefits there as well. So in that sense, when again you evaluate agreements and start collaborating with the utility and have a discussion, that's one side or two sides that has to be considered as well. One thing also regarding the fuel cell and energy storage is also, as the power demand in the world is increasing, and if we add this combo to the data centers, it can give a benefit where the local utilities or local regulation is looking at a little bit better view, because then you can also support the grid as well. So this is a little bit on the collaboration side. Time to think what will come down the road, and how to make also data center more useful for the utilities as well, or giving back to the society.
Okay, and then the design element, I'm guessing that's you're beginning to put into practice what you've sort of discovered during the evaluate and collaborate. It's now time to, if not re-engineer the whole data center, at least start looking at how you might be able to change the layout and some of the infrastructure to improve the efficiency. Right,
and design is really, that's where the fun starts, I would say, because if we look few years back, the technology wasn't developing that fast. Now, when the data centers are really pushing hard on the sustainability development, it's also vendors who has to pick it up. Like ABB, we need to be up on and develop a new technologies to support that growth. And of course, battery storage is one of the things, as I already said. It is financially more available than it was like 10 years ago. Battery prices has done a significant drop, thanks of course to the e-mobility and electric cars that has also picked up quite nicely, but a fuel cell as well. If we look how quickly they develop, this is definitely something that has to be or should be considered. And also the medium voltage UPS, for example. Usually we are used in this industry in the low voltage UPS, but bringing it to the one level up, we can protect or ensure the power for the whole facility, and we can easily much better way replicate and build the new data centers and add more power much easily as well. So there are new technologies, and I think that's the fun part to make a design and solution that fits the best.
And I guess maybe if you're talking about the fun part, probably the slightly boring part, but quite important, is the ongoing maintenance. As obviously you have your infrastructure, and a lot of people might be tempted to just, I suppose, a bit like a car. Some people take it regularly for a servicing, and other people kind of just run it, and then one day, regrettably, it breaks down. So maintenance is, as I say, perhaps not the most glamorous part of data center activity, but important to ensure that your equipment's still performing as required.
And yes, absolutely. Maintenance is a little bit kind of the boring part, but in the other side, if we look how the maintenance and service part has developed in the last few years as well. Today, we are talking about the augmented reality supporting the maintenance. In ABB, we offer the closer and the raise, means that basically if the service technician on the site needs to do some maintenance on the switchgear, they can always have an ABB expert in the other side of the glasses, and they'll or assist which button to switch or which not to switch, or what element has to be changed, what don't have to be changed. So actually, looking the development on the maintenance side, I think it's also very interesting times ongoing. In data center service and the maintenance, of course, uptime is important, right? And getting to the site with a certain hours in some areas may not be so easy. So again, the virtual reality and augmented reality and all this supports really this maintenance development as well. And there is already offering going very nicely as well. On the maintenance side, also we see more and more, which is the machine learning as well. It will basically look the history, what has happened in the other similar data centers. If you run multiple data centers, you can compare information, and that will help you also to say that, hey, in other sites we had such and such difficulties. Maybe it's time to look also some other sites and see that we are not running into the troubles there. So maintenance side, absolutely, the new technologies are supporting that as well. And good or a bad side, COVID really also pushed that one forward as well, as it wasn't so easy to get maintenance people to the site. You need the clearances and traveling between the countries even if needed. Then that's that really helped to develop this stuff as well. On the augmented reality side, what we shouldn't forget as well, it also supports the sustainability. Again, for example, if there is some failure, let's say on the switchgear, to go to the site, figuring out what is the missing part or what part broke down, go back to the warehouse, pick up the part, go back again to the site to fix it. It's now easier. We can do the service, or we can troubleshoot what happens really through the digital channels, and we can already show up in the data center with the right parts in the hand. So we don't need to travel back and forth multiple times. So I think this also serves multiple sites as well.
Okay, and then the last part is the recycling. So I'm intrigued. Everyone talks about it, and there's plenty of possibilities. But in terms of the data center, what are you talking about when it comes to recycling? What opportunities are there to reuse, repurpose kit?
Right, and the recycling today is absolutely one of the hot topic as well. It definitely starts from the IT side. as the rack has the shortest life cycle, as I already said, then this is really driving today as well. But also electrical equipment, even though the lifetime is 15 or 20 years, depends on equipment, but it also, all new products are coming with material chosen right for the recycling and increase the lifetime in many ways as well. It comes also with data, how to recycle and what are the processes. So all new products are really keeping that in mind, that the recycling in the future is done in a best optimal way, and it's recyclable as such.
Okay, so as well as that sort of that five step sort of strategy, there's clearly a lot of technology. You've alluded to it in some of the answers, you know, technological innovation, and you reference sort of battery energy storage and microgrids, I guess, fall into similar. It'd just be good to understand, if you like, where we are today, what's possible, and you know, what's possible in the future. Because I know a lot of data centers look at these kind of things and wonder whether they're offering the level of resilience, you know, at the right price that they need. So just thoughts as to what we can do today and what might be possible in the future.
Right. With a renewable integration, with some of the renewable stuff, you cannot really predict when the sun is shining or and so on. So the best way is to have a buffer between the renewable and the load. So the battery storage comes really handy in that case. So we can really load the batteries whenever sun is shining, goes to the batteries, and we use energy when it's needed. But it's also, battery storage will serve another side as well that has to keep in mind, is the genset delay. If we look the statistics, most of the faults are happening within 1 hour or will be cleared within 1 hour. So adding a battery storage, like say 1 hour in a capacity wise, you can delay starting up the gensets. And if you don't start up the genset, it can also help again the sustainability targets very nicely there as well. So battery storage is coming more and more handy, that's for sure. And it will definitely help to make, again, not data center to be a consumers, but be more of the prosumers and give back to the grid as well. And data centers and the battery storage, they are really developing pretty fast as well. Machine learning, putting on top of the batteries, we can optimize and get the best out of the batteries again during their lifetime, for example. So it is developing as well. Definitely in a few year time, we see some more interesting stuff coming out.
Yeah, and you mentioned the renewables there, and as you say, solar and wind. With the battery storage, you've got obviously the way of getting around the fact that the sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow. But I mean, there are other alternatives. I think you mentioned hydrogen fuel cells, which have great potential. And fun enough, a friend who used to work in the motor industry, talking to the other day, he was talking about salt water or sodium ion batteries as a possible future. So I'd just be interested as to you know, when it comes to renewables, what we might be looking out for, because everyone's talking about sort of wind and solar, but are we going to end up more looking at hydrogen, salt water, and even I know nuclear, sort of small nuclear, the idea you'll have a small little nuclear plant stuck by the side of data center. Just your thoughts as to what is the direction of travel?
Right, and actually you mentioned already quite a lot of technologies, and there is incredible race actually going on between the technologies. Some of them are not new. I mean, lithium-ion is not really new, and there is also in a big scale you can pump hydro, for example, and do quite a lot of stuff as a storage. But if we also look what is important for the data center, we cannot forget about uptime. So whatever technology we are going to use, it has to serve one target, and that's an uptime. So there are a lot of pilots with a hydrogen, with some other technologies in the fuel cell or in the batteries as well. There are zinc fives or as you said, salt water. There are different technologies, because most probably lithium ion is not the best, but it's the best today. So to say, and in 5 years again, most probably it's changing as well. But definitely there are a lot of pilots ongoing, and takes a little bit time until the right solution or optimum solution is sorted out, and then it's possible to do in the peak scale. In the fuel cell, yes, I know everybody talks about hydrogen, and definitely European Union has taken a direction towards the hydrogen in a very strong manner, let's say. But there are other ways as well. For example, ammonia. You don't need to cool it down that much to use ammonia. It's a lot easier to transportate, and the amount or energy density in ammonia is much bigger as well. So having an offsite data center, most probably ammonia fuel cell that are available is even the better options. So I understand from the technology provider point of view, we are really excited because it develops so fast. In the other side, I understand data center struggles a little bit find optimum as well. And as I said, it's changing a little bit. So, but looking at the number of pilots, I'm pretty much sure it's something will come in a big scale soon. So.
Okay, and in terms of ABB's expertise, obviously, I know you cover a vast amount of industries with your knowledge, but in the data center space, the sort of we're looking at on the power side in particular, and your cells, it sort of drives, motors, powertrains. I mean, is that a fair characteristic, or is there a lot more that you're able to sort of understand and comment on and help folks within the data center?
Right, but on ABB portfolio, we have again quite a wide range for the data center, and drives and the motors is definitely important. If we consider that about 30% of the energy in data center is going for the cooling, then having the efficient motors, pumps, and having a proper drive selected, it gives a pretty big impact on the BOE level. So I'm sure there is already quite a lot of efficient motors used, but we see as a technology provider, now it's time to put them work in a smart way together with the right drives, making sure it's more optimum and you can regulate the motors in the right manner. So I think technology is there, and we see also that there is something that we can do more in that area for sure.
Okay, and then you mentioned earlier about the sort of AI, machine learning, stuff like that. So if I understand correctly as well, the putting intelligence on some of these items is helpful in terms of getting feedback and optimizing the running performance, and as you allude to as well, possibly spotting potential problems before they actually lead to some downtime. So what are you sort of doing around there, or what's possible with, I guess it's IoT, is it? I guess you're putting sensors on lots of pieces of kit and getting data.
Yes, and making the motors digitalized and having really the drives and putting it all together in the cloud. I will bring just a good example on this one. If we have already today the digital layer on the cooling, we have a digital layer on electrical, we have in IT equipment, but we also know what's happening outside. Then on top of that, in a way with machine learning or algorithms, we can optimize and see if the load is temporary, and if it's cold outside, maybe we don't need to switch on another set of motors for cooling. So today, really going digital in the whole data center, and also including the motors and the pumps and the drives, really gives a benefit. That's where we can start really playing with optimization and take optimization in another level. And again, if you have a multiple data center can learn itself from the other sides and the other patterns, and that's again where the fun part starts.
Yeah, and I still do some work in the water industry as well, and variable speed drives to do with, you say, pump operation have been around for a wee while, but it's still surprising perhaps that how many organizations don't fully understand or realize those benefits. But I guess they also have a role to play within the data center as well, that kind of technology.
Absolutely, and many of the cooling providers already use also the variable speed drive as well. And as I said, using also the motors, high efficient motors are more and more demanded now. With a proper digital layer, I would say it's right time to put those two to work together in the best manner. And also now integrating them to the data center management system as well, it's a really right time to take the maximum out of those two components in the drives and the motors.
Okay, and in terms of any other sort of technologies out there that, in other words, ABB is working on, without giving away any secrets, or are there any other things that data center people need to be aware of, you know, in terms of helping them optimize, as you say, the PU, you know, the power usage, efficiency, effectiveness?
Right.
Anything else that we need to know about?
Yeah, I won't tell out any of the big secrets, but definitely there is one thing. What is also explored is a DC power used in the data center more and more. Maybe in the few year time that picks up as well. But today the hottest topic actually is the cooling. What will be the future on the cooling? Does it go to the liquid cooled racks? Is it the one level liquid cooled, or is it the two level? I mean, there are so many, again, discussions. And if we look at the density in the data racks, and if the liquid cooling is picking up, that's definitely a game changer in the future. And absolutely, it's important to keep an eye on this one.
Okay, and maybe in terms of concluding, we have a sort of I don't know whether it's real or not, but certainly there was a panorama program the other week that suggested, for example, that I think it was in Ireland, there was a housing development wasn't being built because there wasn't enough power for that. It was all going towards the local data center, whether that's true or not. But there seems to be there's a finite amount of power, shall we say, and increasing demands on it. So the question is, are you sort of optimistic that there's enough power out there for everything that's required in the digital age, or do you perhaps worry that tough decisions will have to be made as to, you know, hardly a year goes by certainly in the UK without us being threatened of blackouts at various stages, you know, because we just don't have enough power to go around, and then we have the energy crisis. So yes, in simple terms, is there enough power to, you know, go around for everything's required, and for the data centers, I guess it's fairly critical. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say that data centers as a market will definitely grow. I think there is no way back on that sense. But I'm pretty sure that it's also safe to say that not any other industry than data centers are pushing limits so hard. They're pushing limit on the efficiency. They're pushing limit on sustainability. So again, we as an industry or supplier for them on equipment, we really need to be on top of our offering as well, and we need to develop as fast as well. If we look a little bit statistics again, a few years back and today, data centers demand for data has grown more than 10 times, but actually energy usage has almost been flat. So I think it's also just to give a credit to the data centers as well. They are going in a UPSs, they are going to the best efficiencies always. They are really pushing the technology 5 years down the road. They want to know what's going to come, they want to pilot, and they want to implement in the peaks scale as well. And it's not only the power usage, actually, the data centers, yes, they do consume, but they give back to the grid as well. Not any other industry than data center has a on-site power generation the same amount than the data center, for example. If there is a grid shortage, definitely they can feed back to the grid and support the grid. It's just a matter of contracts and agreements. But also, if we look economy-wise as well, data centers are supporting the startups in the region or supporting education, engineering. We can see many of the countries where data centers are supporting engineering to be also developed in their area as well, to be more on digital, looking more to the digital solution, support how the digital layer can support the whole economy. So yes, data centers taking the power, but I think if I look the new technologies, if I look what the industry gives back as well, I think we will survive definitely. So using new technologies will help as well. So yeah, I think in some region can be more problematic, but in overall, data centers are more useful than just a thing.
Okay, and maybe just one final question, and this is again a bit of a sort of crystal ball gazing, if you like, but if somebody who'd worked in the data center industry all their life sort of came back to it, retired now and came back in, I don't know, 10 years time, would they pretty much recognize it as it had been when they left in terms of the basics? There might be slightly different components, or do you think everything from where data centers are located to how they're constructed, the M&E inside, etc., will look radically different, or do you think we'll continue just to evolve sort of gradually as time goes by?
I think it will be completely different, and I wouldn't even say 10-year time. I'm ready to say that it's also in the 5-year time. I mean, if we look how much is really data center providers also putting effort on the optical cables or the satellites to improve the quality on the video conferences or the whole data usage, it's significant. Considering electric cars, 5G development, how much data goes from the cars to the data centers and so on. So there are so many things that will grow the need for data, and I think one of the things which will change is also the data rack density. That will go up as well. Chip manufacturers are working hard to bring up density and so on. So in a 5-year time, I'm pretty much sure that they'll be slightly different for sure.
Okay, well, it's been great to chat to you, Daniel. So I appreciate you giving me the time. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you for this discussion. Very good.